Taehyung leaned in, brushing his lips gently against Jungkook. It wasn't of passion, but one of quiet promise, a seal on the connection they were forging. When they pulled apart, Taehyung whispered against Jungkook's lips, "Good night, love." Jungkook smiled, his heart full. "Good night, Taehyung." They settled back under the covers, the warmth of their shared moment lingering as sleep began to claim them. Outside, the lake whispered its lullaby, the stars above twinkling as if to bless the night. The cabin was calm, the firelight casting a soft glow across the room. Taehyung leaned back against the pillows, his eyes sparkling with mischief as he watched Jungkook settle next to him. The air was warm, filled with a quiet kind of anticipation that neither of them seemed eager to break. Jungkook stretched out, his oversized t-shirt falling slightly off one shoulder, revealing a peak of freckled skin. Taehyung smirked, leaning on his elbow as he spoke, his voice soft but teasing. "Those shorts, love, they're going to be the death of me." Jungkook rolled his eyes, a laugh escaping his lips. "Oh, please. They're just shorts, Taehyung, just shorts." Taehyung raised an eyebrow, his smirk widening. "They're practically a secret weapon." Jungkook couldn't help but laugh again, nudging Taehyung playfully. "And here I thought you were made of stronger stuff, not when it comes to you, apparently," Taehyung replied, his tone lighter now, though his gaze lingered on Jungkook in a way that made the boy's cheeks warm. They sat in companionable silence for a moment, the crackle of the fire filling the room. Taehyung reached out, tracing a lazy pattern along Jungkook's arm. The touch was gentle, more comforting than anything else, but it sent a shiver through Jungkook all the same. "You know," Taehyung murmured, "you've got this way about you. Like you're always 2 steps ahead, just waiting for me to catch up." Jungkook turned his head, their faces just inches apart now. His voice was quiet but steady. "And what if I am?" Taehyung leaned closer, his expression softening. "Then I guess I'll keep chasing." The space between them disappeared as Taehyung pressed a gentle kiss to Jungkook's forehead. It wasn't rushed or overly dramatic, just a quiet moment shared between two people who were finally letting their guards down. Jungkook smiled, resting his head against Taehyung's shoulder. "You're ridiculous. You know that." Taehyung chuckled, his arm wrapping around Jungkook. "Maybe. But I've been told it's part of my charm." They stayed like that, wrapped in warmth and each other's company, as the night carried on. Nothing else mattered, not the outside world, not the past, not even the future. For now, they were just two people enjoying a rare moment of peace. "Thank you," Jungkook whispered after a while, his voice barely audible. "For what?" "For this. For being you." Taehyung smiled, his fingers gently brushing through Jungkook's hair. "Always, love. Always." And as the firelight flickered, they both drifted off to sleep, wrapped in the comfort of knowing they'd found something rare, something worth holding on to. The room was calm, lit only by the soft glow of a bedside lamp. The world outside seemed far away, leaving the two of them wrapped in a quiet, peaceful moment. Taehyung leaned closer, his lips brushing gently against the curve of Jungkook's neck, his touch soft and comforting. Jungkook let out a contented sigh, his eyes fluttering shut as he relaxed into Taehyung's arms. There was something about the warmth of the embrace, the quiet hum of the cabin, that made everything else fade into the background. "I can't seem to get enough of you," Taehyung whispered, his voice low and filled with emotion. Jungkook giggled softly, the sound light and playful. "Well, you're in luck because I'm not going anywhere." Taehyung smiled, his hands trailing gently along Jungkook's back, their closeness a reminder of how much he'd missed moments like this. "You feel like home," Taehyung murmured, his forehead resting lightly against Jungkook. Jungkook opened his eyes, his gaze meeting Taehyung's with a softness that spoke louder than words. "I've missed this too," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm really glad I came." Their connection deepened as Taehyung leaned in, capturing Jungkook's lips in a kiss. It wasn't rushed or urgent, it was slow and meaningful, a reflection of everything they felt but hadn't yet said. As the kiss ended, Taehyung pulled Jungkook closer, their bodies fitting together as though they were meant to be. His arms wrapped around Jungkook protectively, holding him in a way that said he never wanted to let go. "You make me happy," Taehyung said quietly, his words filled with sincerity. "Really, truly happy," Jungkook smiled, his hand lightly brushing through Taehyung's hair. "You make me happy too," he said, his voice filled with warmth. For a moment, neither of them spoke, the room filled with a comfortable silence. Then, Taehyung broke it, his voice soft and reflective. "I've thought about this for so long," he admitted. "I'd lie awake at night, wishing you were here." Just like this, Jungkook placed a gentle hand on Taehyung's cheek, his thumb brushing softly against his skin. "Well, I'm here now," he said, his voice steady. "And I'm not going anywhere." Taehyung's lips curved into a small, grateful smile, and he leaned forward to press another kiss on Jungkook's forehead. In the quiet of the cabin, they stayed close, their breaths mingling in the stillness of the night. No words were needed, everything they felt was shared in their quiet touches and tender gazes. The cabin was still, bathed in the gentle glow of morning light streaming through the windows. The events of the previous night lingered in the air like a comforting warmth, wrapping Jungkook in a quiet contentment. He stirred slowly, his eyes fluttering open to find Taehyung still sound asleep beside him. For a moment, Jungkook simply watched. Taehyung's features were relaxed, his breathing steady and calm. Strands of soft, messy curls framed his face, and Jungkook couldn't help but smile at the peacefulness that surrounded him. It was rare to see Taehyung like this, unguarded and at ease. The memories of whispered words and shared laughter replayed in Jungkook's mind. It wasn't just the tenderness of their touch or the weight of their confessions, it was the feeling of being understood, of being safe. "You're something else," Jungkook whispered softly. The words meant more for himself than the sleeping man beside him. Careful not to disturb Taehyung, Jungkook shifted to sit up, stretching out the slight ache in his limbs from the previous day. His gaze wandered to the room, settling on the shirt Taehyung had worn the day before, neatly folded over the back of a chair. A small grin tugged at Jungkook's lips as a mischievous idea crept into his mind. Quietly, he slipped out of bed, padding across the wooden floor in his bare feet. He reached for the shirt, letting his fingers brush against the soft fabric before pulling it on. The shirt hung loosely on him, the oversized fit falling just below his thighs. The faint scent of Taehyung's cologne clung to the fabric, a comforting reminder of his presence. Jungkook caught his reflection in the window, a slight flush on his cheeks and a playful twinkle in his eyes as he adjusted the shirt. Turning back to the bed, Jungkook found himself smiling at the sight of Taehyung still tucked under the covers. He looked peaceful, his arm draped across the pillow where Jungkook had been just moments ago. Jungkook tiptoed to the small kitchenette, deciding to make something simple. The sound of light clinking and soft humming filled the space as he busied himself with brewing tea and toasting some bread. The smell must have stirred Taehyung because, moments later, Jungkook heard the soft rustle of sheets in a groggy voice calling out, "Cookie? Where'd you run off to?" Jungkook turned, still wearing Taehyung's shirt, and leaned against the counter with a cheeky grin. "Just thought I'd start the day off right. Couldn't let you sleep through breakfast, could I?" Taehyung sat up, his head tousled and eyes heavy with sleep. When he noticed Jungkook wearing his shirt, a slow, lazy smile spread across his face. "You're wearing my shirt," he said, his voice laced with affection. Jungkook shrugged, feigning nonchalance. "It's comfy. And it smells like you," Taehyung chuckled, running a hand through his messy curls as he got out of bed. "Well, it looks good on you. Not that I'm surprised." He crossed the room, pulling Jungkook into a loose embrace. The warmth of Taehyung's arms wrapped around him as he pressed to Jungkook's temple. "Morning, love," Taehyung murmured, his voice still husky from sleep. "Morning," Jungkook replied, his smile soft. They stood like that for a moment, the quiet morning wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Jungkook leaned into Taehyung's chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "I could get used to mornings like this," Taehyung said, his lips brushing against the top of Jungkook's head. Jungkook looked up, his blue eyes meeting Taehyung's with a fondness that made Taehyung's heart skip a beat. "Me too," he said simply. The rest of the morning unfolded in quiet simplicity. They sat together at the small table, sharing tea and toast, their conversation light and easy. It was a moment of calm in a world that often felt chaotic, a reminder of why they had found their way back to each other.